Well, hello there, friends. Thanks for clicking on this video and joining in on what is a continuing conversation regarding myself and homemade percussion caps. After the last video I uploaded, I went to the house and I got to thinking about my 62 Pocket Police. And what got me to thinking about this is this has factory cones on it that I slick shotted myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the camera, take the 5 shots, drop the hammer 5 times and see how these percussion caps react. Now, I got to thinking about something else also, because I've demonstrated in the past that these match head percussion caps work just fine. Up until now, every match head percussion cap that I made was put into place with a piece of paper. Everything that I've demonstrated real recently with a slow burn would be everything that I made and sealed with Duco cement. And those are the ones that have been failing. Now, if you've been watching this channel not too far back, I coated some of my homemade black powder with nitrocellulose lacquer. And then I did a burn test, and friends, and if you watch that, recall how much slower that gunpowder burned. So I'm beginning to wonder if all of these percussion caps that I've been putting in a drop of Duco cement cut down with acetone, if that's why these things are reacting the way they are. Now, I have to tell you, friends, that over the winter, I've been experimenting with some of my homemade percussion caps, and I've got several tins in here that I've been experimenting with. I haven't shot them yet because I'm waiting for a good day to do this. And those caps right there that I just showed do not have anything to do or related to the match heads. This is something new that I've been trying. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the camera, try to detonate these 5, and out of the same tin, I also have some match head percussion caps that I made and just seated in place with the paper, and I want to see if those have any type of detonation difference, because now I'm using the factory cone with that I actually slick shotted. Up until now, everything that I've been trying basically has been with that 51 Navy. So let me get the camera adjusted and we'll see what happens. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that those detonated pretty slow. So I'm going to get capped up with the caps that I made with the match heads, and I put a little piece of paper over the top to keep them in place. Let's see how those burn. One out of 5. Okay, same experiment. My Pocket Navy. These have the Chorizo cones on them. These are the percussion caps filled with the match head components and Duco cement to keep it in place. Well, that just might settle the question. I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm going to use the percussion caps with the match head as a component with the paper to keep the component in place. Okay, here's the second test. Match head component, ground up, put in the percussion cap, and the pattern paper, that tissue paper, to keep everything in place. One possible dud, which again, is it really a dud, or how would that work when you have a black powder charge sitting in front of that? So let me get the camera repositioned and I'll wrap this up for you. So what did I learn? Well, for myself, the match heads work pretty well, as long as you're not using them in conjunction with slick shots. Now bear in mind, with my 62 Pocket Police, these got factory cones that I slick shotted myself, and as far as I'm concerned, it was a failure. Same batch of caps from the same tin in my 62 Pocket Navy functioned just fine. So I guess if I'm going to be using my DIY percussion caps with the match heads, I need to make sure that I'm not using them on one of my revolvers that is slick shot. So with that being said, have I resolved that, or is there a way to resolve that? Stay tuned. So in previous videos, I've talked about these little ring bang caps. Some of them have got a white component in it. That stuff's garbage. But some of this has got like a little tan colored component. That's what's in these percussion caps right here that I have now loaded. So I'm gonna turn the camera around and we'll see how these work. Because ultimately, guys, I've got like 5 different tins here that I've been kind of experimenting with over the winter, just to see which are going to be good to use here at home. And that's how I discovered that that white component stuff was garbage. So let me get the camera turned around. Now these do not have any type of Duco cement or anything on them. The only thing keeping these in place, you know, once I crushed them up and pressed them in place, is just that piece of tissue paper. So let me get the camera turned around and we'll do some testing. As you can see, no hiccups. Okay, what I have loaded now is these ring bang caps, and you can cut these out and the component is glued to a piece of paper. So I cut out 2 and I put the 2 surfaces together that have the component that goes bang, but I also broomed on some match head material and then very gingerly compressed all that together with that tissue paper. So let's see how these work. Now my primary reason for wanting to do this is because, as we just all learned together, at least as far as I'm concerned, the match head alone does not work well enough with the slick shots to be a viable ignition source. So let's see what these do. Pretty good. All right, get these nipples cleaned off here. I certainly hope the wind isn't Yeah, hold on here, guys. Whoops, let's show you something here. I don't know if you guys can see all that well, but that copper cap is flattened right out. So that's plenty hot enough with two of those bang caps also charged with the match head component. So I guess as far as I'm concerned at this point in time, I'm going to have to give some thought about just the match head component by itself in conjunction with the slip shots. To me, it's just not going to work. But you know what? I got something else I want to test. Stand by. So what I have now is one bang cap placed in the bottom of a percussion cap. And when I did these, I made sure that the bang cap was fully charged. They don't always get fully charged. Sometimes when you take them apart and you look at it, only half of it's charged. So I made sure that they were all charged. Then I took some of my homemade gunpowder and I broomed it on top, compacted it down, and put a piece of that tissue paper. So let's see how this works. Nothing like the smell of gunpowder in the air. Worked just fine. So, what's my ultimate takeaway? Obviously, the match head percussion caps alone will not work sufficiently enough for me, at least with the slick shots, because it appears to me like there's too much of that fire escaping out those little vent holes. They're great in preventing any back pressure from causing cap sucking, but the opposite would be true, say like with the match head, and in particular with the Duco cement, because as I mentioned earlier, in that experiment I did with the black powder sprayed with the nitrocellulose lacquer, slowed down that burn. So I guess that's all I have to say about that. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and share it with your bestest of buds, and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.